as Dick has said, when the Congress set up this commission, they set it up as a bipartisan, with myself as the chairman and Jim Schlesinger as the vice chairman. And they asked us in several different meetings with us to arrive at a consensus report. Easy for them to say. Well, against all odds, we came surprisingly close to that. I'm going to summarize the findings for you in about 5 minutes. I'm going to do that. It's a long and complex report. I'm going to do that by relating our findings to what I perceive to be administration policy in this field. Now, the administration's policy, to be sure, is evolving. Indeed, one of the reasons for having this commission was to have an input to the nuclear posture review, which the administration is just now getting underway. Nevertheless, by referring to various speeches the president has made, you can see important elements of a policy. And I'm going to refer to those elements in my summary. The first is that the president has recognized we're facing a new threat, namely nuclear proliferation and nuclear terrorism, but we still have to hedge against a possible resurgence of the old threat. That rather clear statement of policy, the Commission agrees with the administration on that point. Secondly is that the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, is critical to dealing with this threat, and the U.S. should work to strengthen the NPT, including increasing the resources for the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Commission agrees with that conclusion as well. Third, that for success in preventing proliferation is going to require the action of all nations, most importantly all nuclear powers, but other nations as well, and that getting that full cooperation will entail the nuclear powers making progress in disarmament. I certainly agree with that. Some of the Commission members believe that a coupling between those two factors is weak, whereas others believe that coupling is strong. So there's a difference of degree in view in the Commission on that point. The President has made a very clear statement in his Prague speech that the United States seeks a world without nuclear weapons, and that therefore we should work to reduce the number of nuclear weapons and the salience of nuclear weapons. He also said as long as nuclear weapons exist, the United States would maintain a safe, secure, and reliable nuclear force capable of providing deterrence and extended deterrence to our allies. Now, I strongly agree with that full statement, but I must say that some of our commissioners do not agree with the desirability or even feasibility of achieving a world without nuclear weapons. So there's a difference of views in the Commission on that important point. However, all Commission members fully support the view that we should work for a safe, secure, reliable deterrent, and all of us support reducing the number of nuclear weapons, provided that is done bilaterally. The fifth policy is that the President of the state is going to seek new treaties. A START follow-on treaty, the Commission agrees with that. A fissile material cutoff treaty, the Commission agrees with that policy. And the President said he would seek ratification of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Again, I strongly agree with that view. Indeed, I believe that the United States will not be able to assume leadership in the international community unless we do ratify the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. About half of our members disagree with the ratification of the CTBT. And indeed, as I believe some of them will be prepared to testify against the CTBT when it comes to the Senate. So we have a split Commission on that point, and we're not able to resolve our differences in the course of our discussions. However, all members agreed on the steps that should be taken by the administration before they bring the CTBT to a vote. And one of those most important steps is that the United States should seek a clarification and a clear understanding of what tests are banned by this treaty, since there seems to be some ambiguity and confusion on that point. The sixth policy has to do with missile defense. The President said he wants to move forward on that as long as a nuclear threat from Iran persists, and that he would seek to find a way of working cooperatively with the Russians. And the Commission again agrees with both of those conclusions. We have in the Commission some real differences about the importance and role of missile defense, but on those two important statements made by the President, the Commission members were able to agree. The seventh policy has to do with civilian nuclear programs. The President said he wants to get the loose fissile material under control and has proposed various ways of doing that. And he said we need a new international framework to discourage the spread of enrichment and processing in the nuclear field. Again, the Commissioners strongly agree with the importance of that problem and of those steps being necessary to try to deal adequately with that problem. And finally, in the policy field, the President said he wants to roll back the nuclear program of North Korea and prevent Iran from going nuclear. The six-party talks have failed to stop North Korea from getting a nuclear program. In some ways, the compliance with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is in tatters, and the President has said there must be consequences when there are violations of the NPT. The members strongly agree with that, but of course the interesting question is how are we going to achieve those goals, and that still is an open question. Now, beyond reporting on those 8 policy issues, the Commission made specific recommendations on how to sustain a deterrence force. In particular, how to sustain it in the face of present U.S. policy, no testing, no design of new weapons, and the very practical limit on funding that are faced. We believe that the key to that will be maintaining the strength of our 3 weapons laboratories. They have outstanding technical staff, and to this date have had remarkable success in achieving their goals through 2 programs, one of which is called the Stockpile Stewardship Program, and the other which is called the Life Extension Program. But as our weapons age, that success will become more and more difficult. Now, the government has responded to this problem in the last few years by cutting the staff at the weapons laboratory, which we believe is a mistake, and argue that we should reverse that trend, and in addition to that, add new responsibilities to the 3 weapons laboratories. We believe that the laboratories are unique national assets, and they should be recognized by giving them expanded national security missions beyond the nuclear weapons field, to include fundamental research in energy, broader areas of fundamental research, and much broader involvement in the nuclear intelligence field. If that were to be done, as we recommended, we think it's appropriate to rename them as the National Security Laboratories, not just weapons laboratories, and that they should be given additional freedom appropriate for national research laboratories. We looked specifically at the way they are administered, which is the NNSA, and we believe that the NNSA should be given more autonomy than it has today, and that it should report to the President through the Secretary of Energy. The problem has not been in the past with the Secretary of Energy, we hasten to say, but with the bureaucratic staff in the energy. And what we would really like to see is that the full engagement of the Secretary of Energy, but a major curtailment of the bureaucratic impositions that are put on the laboratories by the staff of the energy. I'd like to conclude my comments before I turn over to Dr. Schlesinger by observing that there is a future world ahead of us in the nuclear field, and that world could be quite dangerous. It could involve a collapse of the proliferation regime. It could involve a new wave of proliferation of new nuclear weapons to new states, both of which would increase the risk to the United States and to the world, indeed, of nuclear terrorism. And it could involve a renewed competition among the nuclear powers for nuclear supremacy. That is a possible world ahead of us, and it would be a very dangerous world. We see, however, a more hopeful world possible as well. That's a world in which the proliferation is constrained, which nuclear terrorism is stymied, and where the nuclear powers agree on ways of cooperating instead of competing in this field. We believe that the report that we have just completed provides a strategy which will make it more possible to reach that happy outcome instead of the dangerous outcome which I had earlier specified. Now I'd like to turn over the podium to Dr. Schlesinger for his comments on the report. Jim.